Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the Tried and Tested podcast. I am your host Tracey, and if you are not familiar with my show, this is a dating and relationship podcast where we talk about all things in relationships. We talk about romance, we talk about the lack thereof, we talk about men, women, dating, finances, food, everything that is related to relationships. So today I have a special guest. I have my boo Puma. Say hey.
Hey guys.
So thank you so much for being our guest for today. And without further ado, the topics today are marriage tips from a married woman's perspective. So you about to school us today and let us know how to get it together in our singlehood in order for us to be married, okay?
All right. I'll try.
All right. So first and foremost, how long have you been married for?
It's going to be 9 years.
Oh, wow.
October 20th. I know, right?
Dang, time flew, right?
My youth is gone.
Right. Like, time definitely flew. All right. So, obviously, people are always giving marriage advice on what they would do when they are married or when they get married. But it's obviously different when you get into the situation and you're actually, living it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, first and foremost, did you find your husband or did he find you?
Girl, he found me. He was stalking me. No, I'm lying, but he found me.
All right, so what were you, I would say, okay, so he found you. So what was that like? Like, what were you doing, I guess, when he found you? Were you getting your life together? What,
Girl, so it's funny. So, so I was actually at a funeral. Me and Irene were at a funeral, and we were collecting money. And this guy comes and sits next to me, and he was like, "Hi, how you doing?" I was like, "Fine." Like, why is this dude talking to me? But anyway, he's like, "Yeah, how you doing? I'm here with my cousins. I'm not from here. I'm from France." I was like, "Okay, with this, fresh off the boat dude, get away from me." And so he was like, "Yeah, I like you, whatever, kind of your number." And I'm the type of person, I'll just give anybody my number, like, here, and then you will just be on the block list later. I gave him my number. He was like, "Yeah, I'm traveling back to France, blah, blah, blah." This was like, I think 2004, 2005, something like that. So I gave him my number, whatever. He called me a couple of times. The chime's different in French. I didn't answer. I was dating somebody at the time anyway. I didn't answer. I spoke to him twice. So then he comes. He was related to this one girl named Alexis, and they lived on Woodruff. So then he came and he brought me this random gift. The following year, a perfume set. So then I was like, and he gave it to 2 people to bring it to me. He was in my house, but he was in the corner by the door. I was like, "Oh, thank you." Didn't think nothing of it. He was shy, whatever. Didn't think nothing. Saw him. He used to hang out with Ora. I know, right?
Hey.
Came to my house one day. Mind you, I told you I was dating at the time. I'm going to see my boyfriend at the time. He was like, "Oh, do you know where ATM is?" So I dropped him off, whatever, and never thought about it. Fast forward, I'm going to Jennifer's father's getting remarried. And so I'm going, me and Irene again.
And wait, and hold on. Before you even continue, for people who don't know any of us, this is all taking place in New York. She's in New York. She lives in Brooklyn. So the streets that she's naming are in Brooklyn. The guy lives in France, so he's in a different country. And so far now, we're a year in after they've actually met. So, all right, go ahead.
Girl, this is 4 years late, 3 or 4 years. This is 2008. His aunt marrying Jennifer's father. So I didn't know, I haven't spoken to him, never nothing. I'm at the engagement and I see this guy looking at me. I'm like, yo, he looks so familiar. I feel like I know him. So I'm sitting with Irene and I'm next to the DJ, and the DJ was like, "Yeah, his name is, and yes, he's from France." I was like, I knew this guy, whatever. So Irene was pregnant at the time, had just happened to ask him to come to drink, but I wasn't looking at him paying attention. I was talking to the DJ. And then Irene tapped me, was like, "Yo, Puma, can you take this drink from this guy? He won't give it to me to give it to you." So I turned my head, and I guess he wanted to get my attention.
Of course.
So I was like, "Okay, thank you." So then the DJ was like, "Yeah, let's go hang out." I ain't see you in a while because, I was in Maryland at that time. I was working. I was just down there for the engagement. And let's hang out in Maytag. So whatever the case, I guess the DJ, he must have talked to the DJ. So the DJ.
I'm sorry, hold on. I think your mic went out for a second. The DJ what?
The DJ gave him my number. Didn't ask me, just gave him. So I get a random phone call.
Okay.
And he's like, oh, hi, Puma, this is Danielle. I was like, yeah, hi, how are you? I saw his engagement. And we just started talking from there. So
Okay.
from like, I met him like 2005, ended up meeting him again at a mutual family engagement. And then,
Okay.
and that's how we started dating from there.
Oh, wow. So in this situation, it's kind of like, so it's somebody that obviously when you met him, you did not know he was your husband.
No.
And then a few years later, you ran back into him again. And then from there, it was history. So, okay. That's, I mean, so, but that's good though, because some women feel like when they meet a man, immediately they're going to know like, oh, that's my husband. Like we're, that's
I
him.
wouldn't
And that's
even
not the
think he
case.
was my boyfriend. I'm sorry. I wouldn't even think he was my boyfriend, let alone my husband.
No, but that's good though, because I feel like people don't necessarily think that way. And they may feel like, oh, he's not my type, or, I used to talk to him, or whatever it may be. So that's good. All right. So now that you, like, I guess when you first got married, I would say, what were your views on what a husband and a wife were? Like, what did you think it was? And then we'll go on after that.
You know what, to be honest, I didn't even know what to expect. Like, coming from a Ghanaian home, first of all, marriages are not lovey-dovey. I'm not the lovey public display of affection kind of girl. So I really just thought it was like, okay, everything happens, in the house. You'll go out a couple of times here and there, but it's just like, I didn't have really much expectation. I just knew that, I was supposed to cook for my husband. I think that's a big deal. Like for him to for him to like my cooking because I'm my wife and I can cook. Just to be a provider, not necessarily he has to do everything, but just like a helpmate.
Okay.
I'm there for you, you there for me. I know when we did the engagement, a lot of advice that I received from the engagement, I did take it with me into my marriage, just like, you and your husband are to be one. Don't, take your problems outside. Yeah. You don't have to run to people every time. Try to work it out together. Focus on one another. And they did mention, like, cooking for your husband and like not, taking your anger to the next day. So a lot of the advice that I was given from the elders during the traditional marriage, I did take with me. And to always pray for your husband.
Okay, so those are definitely good. So so when you went into your marriage, this is what you thought it would be. Now that you've been married for almost 9 years, do you feel like anything has changed, or do you feel like have your views basically changed on marriage and what it is and what you're expected to do?
Marriage. What I was expected to do, what I thought that I would go into the marriage doing. There's been a lot of hiccups in the road, but, I think for the most part, everything that I thought marriage would be,
is what it was.
It's 75%.
So your views haven't changed, like as far as like maybe there's some things you should have focused on before you got married on yourself or in general, or no?
I think before I got married, to me, I felt like I was set. Like I was a graduate. I had a career. I was teaching. I bought a house. I had a car. Like I had a savings. So I felt like basically I was set, and all he needed to bring to me was some children. But because growing up, as a Ghanaian, you're taught to hustle hard and get your own and work for everything. So I already had that. So I wouldn't be impressed by nobody like, oh, I have money. This like, because I know how to make my own money too. But I just Go ahead.
No, so what I would say though, I feel like, because you're saying as a Ghanaian, but a lot of Ghana people are not like that. So it depends on who you are and how you were raised.
And
but
that's
I just
so
want to,
true.
And I definitely want the viewers to be aware that what you just said is like, so obviously we know that your husband found you, right? You didn't go out, you didn't find him, but also you were prepared. Like you had an education, you had, your own money, you had your own job, you had your own home, you know what I mean? So like you weren't waiting on a marriage to actually get you to that point, which is good, I think, because I feel like, you have people who just, they living in their mom's house and they're over 30 and they just don't have any intention of, doing anything. They're waiting for a man to be a savior. And so I feel like that is really good, you know, insight to know that when he found you, you wasn't a bum on the street. Like, he didn't have to save you kind of thing, you know?
No. And you know what, I'm glad you said, you know, a lot of people don't have that. I'm thinking, with the way I was raised and all the girls that we used to hang, all my cousins, all of us that grew up in the house, 45 Martes, even though everybody thought Martes the worst place to be, don't hang out there, those girls are bad girls. We had that reputation. What people didn't know was my father, well, everybody knew my father didn't play the, but we didn't need him to be there to know that we had to be go-getters and get it on our own and don't sit down and wait on no man. And, you know, my mom, like, she didn't go to college and everything, but my mom worked very hard. Like, my father had left, went to Ghana, but my mom worked hard to take care of kids. So I knew, as seeing that my mother as a hard-working, strong woman who took care of her kids, that's my role in the marriage. No matter if I have a man there or not, be a hard worker, because at the end of the day, even if your man is there and helping you out, you don't know tomorrow.
Yeah,
you don't know tomorrow. So don't sit down and depend on no man to spoon feed you. Not saying if you have a man that's what he likes to cater to you, spoon. Yeah, okay, let him spoon. But what happens when that spoon drops? You better be able to know how to go get your own spoon. So I always had that in my mind, like, yes, if my man is there, he can take care of me, he can pay me, he can give me all the money in the world. But guess what? At the end of the day, what if he needs help? What if something tragically happens to him? And I have children. I have to have what I need to be able to support and sustain my family if that situation happens.
Yeah, and so basically you have to be a whole woman. You can't be a half a woman or a girl and you expecting a man to even show interest in you, because more times than not, if you don't have it all together in your own life, they may not even be attracted to you, I would think. So, but excuse me, sorry. What are some things that people never think of when it comes to wanting to be married? So maybe like there's things that you never thought of and you're like, whoa, like nobody ever told me this, and you're in marriage now.
So one thing I know about marriage was, like, we grew up in apartments and we always shared space. So once I moved, I had my own space. So now I never lived with a guy before or anything like I've dated. I'm not holding. I've slept over boys' house, but actually living with someone and sharing spaces and lifestyle, it's very hard. It's very difficult. And like I told you, I make my own money. I do it. But to discuss with somebody how I'm going to spend my money I went to work with, and you understand what I'm saying? One thing we are not taught is like, okay, it don't matter. Like, say for instance, I'm making $100,000 a year. He's making $50,000. You know, most of the time as a woman, you're going to be like, I'm making more money. This is my money. I'm going to do it. No, when the two becomes one, it's our money. So having to understand that it's our money, we have to sit down and plan for things. We have to talk about how bills are going to be paid, how finances are going to be spent. That's something I was never taught.
Especially with somebody else, and if you put the money together.
Exactly. Like, you know, that's one thing that we need to understand, that is a compromise. And marriage is a lot of compromises that you don't see. Like, my parents, I never really saw anything. Like, I never even knew my parents fought. Like, you know, you don't expose it. And I thank them for that, not exposing me, because, you know, I have a lot of friends that they say, oh, my parents arguing. And I was like, I never experienced it. Yeah, my father was hurting, but that was to the children. I never seen him do it to my mom.
Yeah.
But, so you don't know what they go through. You don't know the things they discuss, how a marriage works, compromising, financially, taking care, because like you know, from what I've seen from family members, and the women took care of the kids. The women made most of the decisions for the children. And I guess the men were in the background that financed it. But you know, but the woman runs the household. Point blank, period. That's what I see. That's the way I see it. Because like in my house, like my husband don't know. I control everything. Like I have his account, his debit card. Like he will call me like, "What's my PIN number again? What's my?" Like he entrusted me. Like my wife is there. My wife, I know she's not gonna make her children go hungry. She's not gonna put us on the street. So he handles everything over to me.
Yes. Okay, now that definitely makes sense, because he's the head of the household, but you're like the backbone.
Yeah. So
that definitely makes sense.
You know, but not every house, you know, not every marriage works like that. Some things, the men do everything, pay everything, and give. So it depends on what works for you. Like I know one thing, My children, I have children, no, they're not going to be put on the street. My house, my mortgage is going to be paid for, but everything's going to be paid because that's just me. And so, coming into your marriage, you have to know what works for you and what structures will put in place. You have to put structures in place to make sure it works for you. So I can't tell you, if you know you're not a person that's good with money, don't manage the finances in the household, because you will see one thing like, oh, I could do this, I'm going to take care of this later, and later's going to be never.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Like, so you have to delegate. Whatever you're good at, stick to that, basically, when you get married.
Mm-hmm. And that's, but sometimes, as a woman, we always think, oh, the man should be the provider, so he has to take care of everything like that. No, you can't think, or sometimes people, oh, you're the woman, you're supposed to be cook. Well, what if your husband cooks better than you?
And that's actually one of my questions, because you mentioned it earlier. And so, like, for somebody like me, like, so I can cook, but I can't cook. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, so how important is that, would you say, like, in a marriage, or do you feel like if he could cook, it's all good? But if y'all both can't cook, then you in trouble.
Oh, so when I met my husband, like, he didn't eat at home. He ate out all the time. He likes to go eat at restaurants. And I don't eat many things. I have a very limited palate. Like, I eat basic things. If I can get burgers and fries, rice, or maybe chicken, like he'll eat anything, try anything and stuff. Because, he lived in France. He used to eat. When I used to go there visit, I used to like, this food is disgusting. So I cook at home.
Okay.
And growing up, we ate at home. And it's not until you got older when you went outside and bought food with your own money. So, I'm a homebody. I cook all the time. I take food to work. Everybody looks at me like, you're not eating up. No. So that's when he started, like, eating at home all the time. Like, oh, there's food in the house. So, like, if he cooks something, it's going to be very basic, like frying eggs. Because I'm be like, ew, nobody's eating your food. So, you know how to make food.
See? But I'm like, so, but it's good, because I feel like people don't, like, these are things that people don't necessarily think about. You know what I mean? Because obviously, like, a marriage is two completely different people who live different lives, and now they're trying to come together under one roof. So it's a lot that you have to learn. And I think that people just think like, oh, I just want a wedding. I just want to be on, this social media page. And it's like this. After the wedding is when reality, like, hits,
I always tell people, don't believe what you see on social media. Don't believe social media marriages when people post their marriage and tell you, oh, I'm so great and I'm so happy. Because when them pictures come down, that's where you like, I'm telling you,
they come down quietly.
They come down, and you would not. And so then that's why a lot of people, when things come out in the open, people really fall into deep depression. They put up this whole image that, my marriage is glitter and gold. Not saying that they're married. Who knows? I don't know if they're lying or not. Yeah. But there is glitter and gold in marriage. And girl, there is some mud and some dirt in marriages. In every marriage is a circle. You have your ups and downs. It just goes round and round. It just depends on how grounded you are, how serious you are about your marriage and making it work, and knowing your role and your position in the marriage.
And I definitely agree, because I feel like what people don't realize, and this is just from my own point of view, like, as a single woman, like, in life, you have issues. You have good days, you have bad days, you have horrible days, you have exciting days. So I feel like what would be different if you're adding somebody to the mix? Like, why would you think it's going to be all good? Like, in life, it by itself, it's already going to be up and down. So it's kind of just like marriage won't be any different. If anything, it'll be even more difficult, because you not have to do it with somebody else. So,
and it is. And listen, there's some hard days where you like, listen, I want to kill this person, throw them out the window and everything.
Yes.
And then you look at it like how could you love the one person that you love so much to drive you so crazy? But then my one thing I always tell people is prayer. Prayer works wonders. Like,
I agree.
Girl.
I agree. So but this one, because I feel like this could go on forever as far as with the prayer, I feel like, but do you believe that you both should probably have a similar, I guess, like, faith or prayer life?
So, girl, this is another thing. So, I'm a Christian.
That's what I said. Yes.
Look, I'm a Christian. My husband's a Muslim. And, in the beginning when I got married, I wasn't really, like, I'm a Christian. I was a Christian because I was born into it. I knew you go to church and everything, but I didn't find it for myself. So when I met him, he was born a Muslim, and he looked to Christianity, but he was a Muslim. So I had the impression that he was a Christian, but then once he's a Muslim. Mm-hmm. So it's like he actually is the one who pushed me to further my relationship with Christ. Yes, because he told me that as a Muslim, he's supposed to be the head of household. In most Muslim cultures, your wife is supposed to be a Muslim. She's supposed to follow you. But he told me, actually, like, if you say you're a Christian, and look into it and see if you are a Christian. Yeah. And he was like, you need to be going to church every day. You need to be reading the Bible. You need to focus on it, because if that's what you are, then you need to do it 100%. So then I was like, whatever. So then and then, I started going to church more and everything, because I'm like, yeah, okay, let me look into this. But then, of course, a tragedy happens. And that, usually in tragedies when you seek Christ the most. Some people go the other way, not to say everyone. Some people, like, if God is real, why am I going through this? And some people seek him. And I just happened to be the one person that started to seek him. And within that, my faith became very, very strong and grounded in it. And he's okay with it. He was like, if you're a believer, then be a true believer.
Yes, that's facts. But that's good, though, because you need somebody who is trying to better you, not necessarily control you or, pull you away from that. So on a similar topic, because obviously you're saying that your faith kind of began in the marriage, not before the marriage. So what is your thoughts on premarital counseling? And do you feel like people should use it? Do you feel like it's helpful? And not only premarital counseling, what about regular marital counseling once you've been married?
Okay, so I think premarital counseling works if you're going to be genuine. Like, I feel like some people go through it just to go through the motion because my church requires it.
Yes, I've heard that.
And I think a lot of people go and, people say the right things to make it sound good to the pastor so that you can pass the test. So it's basically studying for the test so that you can, it's like going to a job interview. You're going to say the right things so that you can get the job. But once you really start the job, is that really your vision for the job?
Exactly.
So I think if you're going to be genuine, and I also, for me, I think it's better, like, say you in a church, and you with a pastor, and your pastor, you want to look, we're in this world where we're all about image. And you're not going to say things, and you're not going to be vulnerable to saying things and making sure it works. I think strangers are better than people because you won't try to hide certain things because you don't want to be judged. Yeah, if that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense.
Premarital counseling, I do think you should do it, but premarital counseling is just surface. If you really, really want to, you and the person that you're marrying actually have to sit down with each other. I think that's something I didn't do. And I think if I did get a chance to do it, had I known that, because I didn't know that at the time, I think some of the situations and circumstances that we went through in our marriage, we probably wouldn't have gone through it if we had sat down in the beginning.
Okay. And that definitely makes sense. Like, so the reason why I know a lot of people, like, I've spoken to, whether they're divorced or whether they're married, like, they're like, oh, no, premarital counseling, like, it's not important. But for me, I feel like it can do one or two things. If you have someone, like, I know in my church, they do it, and they don't play, right? So they, like, when you come in here, you guys are coming in here to war. You're not coming in here as friends. You need to get to the root issues of things that you guys may have in your past, in your life, in your finances. Like, you really need to, like, hash it out here. And then when you leave, you guys can be back to being friends. But also, I feel like premarital counseling can stop you from marrying the wrong person. Because sometimes people are just so in love, they don't even know what they're actually doing, and they don't really know the person that they're dealing with. So sometimes if you have someone who's doing counseling and they're doing it good, and it's not just the basic one they give everyone, but they're actually getting to know the two parties and breaking it down, I feel like it can really save you from making a mistake.
But and it can and it can't. So even if you go to war, and even though you go to war, even though you work things out in the beginning, because I know you mentioned in the question, do you think marital counseling works? People change. People don't stay the same all the time because situations change people. So even though the premarital counseling may have worked and you guys got to open up and see things, people change and evolve. The person that you knew a year ago is not going to be the same person that you know the following year, because circumstances change.
That's
Like maybe you met someone that had everything, and he was able to provide everything that you imagined that you wanted in your marriage, and then something happened and he can't do that at that moment. It may change you. You understand what I'm saying? Because money changes people. Money changes people. And nowadays, and I think it's even harder because of social media. Everybody is looking for this fairy tale. Everybody wants to be featured on I Do Ghana or whatever these Nigerian weddings. Everybody wants to be tagged in something because, it's this look. That's why everybody puts all these hashtags because you want people to see you. But at the end of the day is how do you see yourself when them doors close and nobody else sees you?
Yeah.
How is your marriage portrayed when nobody else? Because you and your husband know all the demons that you are fighting. Nobody else.
And it's unfortunate because I think the marriage divorce rate is really high. But I'm going to ask you why you think that in a moment. But I definitely feel like it's high because people don't know who they're getting. They don't know what a marriage consists of. They don't know what they're expected to do once they're home alone with the person and they have to actually live with them and, deal with them. And it's just kind of like we're all so different and people aren't willing to compromise or change and people don't communicate. They just kind of shut down. Like that's some of the issues I've heard of, when it comes to why people are not, why marriages are failing. But my question for you is being together for 9 years, I'm sure at some point, like you said, you get so frustrated, you get so annoyed, and I'm sure it's possible to even be like, why did I marry this fool? Like, I'm over it. You know what I mean? But I feel like that's part of the process. So I feel like, what do you think? And because we about to wrap up, but I got some more questions, so we're going to have to make this a little quicker. But, so why do you think, why would you say you think so many marriages are failing?
A lot of marriages I think, personally, a lot of marriages are failing. Like I told you, so people think they want something in somebody else's marriage. And that they think they don't see in their own marriages. And you have to realize everybody's marriage is different and unique, and what works for someone else is not going to work for you. Like, just like, how they always say there's so many different types of love languages, there's so many different types of relationships. So my whole thing is like, for example, if one person's marriage, my husband messes up, he goes and buys me an expensive gift, I forgive him. Somebody else's marriage is like, my husband messes up, he bought me, I don't want your expensive gift. You can keep it. I need something else. So, people have to know what works for them. I know I saw someone like them in their relationship, they travel. Her and her husband, they travel a whole lot. In their relationship, they go and they take all these amazing pictures. So one day me and her were talking and then she was like, girl, I can't stand, every time we go on vacation, we fight. I was like, you could have fooled me. You guys take all these amazing pictures and it looks so beautiful on the ground. She was like, yes, because I'm traveling. People think that everything. She was like, but they're fighting something else within their marriage.
Yeah.
That you don't see and you don't know. So divorces happen. Yeah, the reality is these divorces happen because you're putting on a show for people instead of, living in your marriage. Like, don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about what outsiders think. Let them have their own thought of what's going on in your marriage. Because you, at the end of the day, you and that person that you're with are the ones who really know what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. All right. So do you think that you need to court for a long time before tying the knot? Like, do you feel like you need to date, especially if you're older? Do you feel like you have to date for 5 years? Or do you think that, like, the older you get, you know what you want a lot sooner because you've been through other things?
Girl, I think I was a serial dater. I dated. I had 3 serious relationships. The first one we was together for 4.5 years. The second one we was together for 4.5 years. I told you, my husband, he was the third serious relationship that I had, and it wasn't as long as them. He was just basically like, listen, I've been with a lot of women. I know you. I know what I want, and I want you to be my wife. So I'm calling your mother. And I was like, okay.
That makes sense.
I've met someone that dated her husband for 3 months, and they got married, and they've 11 years. I know someone that was with somebody for 6 years, and he got married, and they broke up. They got divorced 2 years later. So it's all in your preference.
It's true.
You thought a lot of people, when you're in these relationships for so long, you just feel like I've invested so much in relationship, you're not going. Yeah. But at the end of the day, so, it's hard. Like, I have another friend. She met a guy, like her and the guy dated while they broke up. She said, I'm giving you a year. to propose to me. And if you don't propose to me within that year, then I'm not wasting my time with you, because what more do you need to be with me for a year for? And he proposed to her within that year.
Well, that's good. I mean, if you know what you want, I feel like definitely you go for it. So before we wrap up, quickly, please, what are 3 major tips you would recommend to people who are engaged or single and wanting to be married? As far as maybe, well, actually 5 tips, but like I said, we're running out of time. So if you can do it quickly, do 5. If not, do 3. But just that you can think of.
So the first one I would say is be vulnerable to your mate. Like, let them know your weaknesses, your strengths. Like, stop. Don't hide. You know, some people, you don't.
Oh, wait, I think your mic is going out. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I think your sound is going out.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, so I know I used to always say, "Oh, you only met my representative. You don't meet the real me until 6-7 months down the line." No, let the person know the real you, so that way y'all not wasting each other's time. Okay. Y'all both, let each other know who you are, how you are, the way you are, your weaknesses and your strengths. And if he's a good person, he's gonna make your weaknesses become your strength, because he's gonna build upon it. He's not gonna tear you down because of that weakness.
Yeah.
So that's one. Number 2, I would tell people, like, pray for each other. Even in your like, if you so mad at that person to the point, pray. Like, that's one thing I know that works for me, at least. I have to pray now and just, like, I'll talk to God like I'm fighting with him, like, because sometimes at the end of the day, you may have caused the issue to make you so wrong that you thought you were right in that situation.
That makes sense.
And another thing is, even though you're mad at each other, continue to do what you normally do when you're not mad at the person.
So cook and stuff with them.
Exactly. Like, don't be like, "Oh, I'm mad at you now, so I'm not going to make food for you to eat. I'm mad at you now, so I'm not going to, like, buy you whatever." Do what you normally do, even in your anger, because at the end of the day, that you're not going to be mad at them. If that's your husband, that's your husband. So do it. One thing I learned, like my husband, like in the beginning when we used to fight and I wouldn't talk to him, I would make his favorite foods. Like, when I'm mad, that's when I made his favorite food, because guess what? That's when he felt the most bad. Like, dang, I done made this girl mad. He didn't know that was my family. Like, I made her mad, and that will make him, feel bad, and then I felt like I won. But no, like, still continue to be who you are. Like, don't change who you are because of the next person's mistakes. And that's just not just marriage. That's just in general, no? Because I learned that. When people made me mad, I started to change who I was, and it affected me more than it affected the other person.
Gotcha.
So you're walking around your house stomping and you're mad at your husband, and he's probably just looking at you like, you'll get over it tomorrow, but you're festering all this anger inside of you. So try to continue to be you.
Yeah.
And just be a genuine person, and don't do it for people. Do it for you and the betterment of your marriage. Like, do it for you. If you do it so that you can uplift your husband and so that he can uplift you, don't do it so that people can clap for you on the outside.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like that was just so much information. I feel like I'm learning today. Okay. But yes, no, thank you so much, Puma. Like, I really appreciate this. So before we go, because we over time today, but I know I like the conversation. I had a lot of fun. If they want to find you on social media, where can they find you?
Oh, girl, they can find me on Instagram. I guess my name is Slim Things on Instagram. It's an old name because when I was little, I just have changed it. Or you can find me on Facebook, Puma Dumbulo. I mean, ain't nothing too much to find. I'm quiet on the social media.
Okay, no problem. But thank you. And to my guests, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, you guys have a good one.
See you guys.